will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before.
This decision, which would be incomprehensible to both the U.S. economy and our own.
Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
Imagine discovering that your favorite French wine or cheese doubled in price overnight. Due to the latest U.S. trade policies, that's precisely what could happen, and France isn't staying silent. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's planned EU tariff imposition has created new tensions between the U.S. and European countries. France isn't backing down. It's leading the charge against these tariffs. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, leads European efforts against these tariffs. French authorities plan to bolster their economic connections with China in a move that might redefine global trade operations. Let's examine what is happening, why France is taking a strong stand, and how this could impact the world. Before we dive into the issue, let's first understand tariffs. Foreign goods require payment of a tariff, which is an additional tax imposed on items entering the country. A U.S. tariff on French cheese raises purchase costs for American stores and raises the price of French cheese for American consumers. Governments adopt tariffs to uphold their domestic commercial entities. Customers tend to choose foreign products over local ones when foreign items have better pricing than local ones. A different aspect of tariffs is that these restrictions cause various difficulties. When country A applies trade restrictions on country B, it often provokes country B to use its trade restrictions, frequently resulting in a trade conflict. Tariffs also impact jobs. Higher European component prices force American companies to decrease costs through workforce dismissals or customer price hikes, resulting in higher costs for families over the long term. Trade agreements that Donald Trump deems detrimental to United States interests have consistently received his condemnation since the beginning of his career. His recent proposal includes setting high tax rates for European wine, cheese, and automobile imports. France and other European nations expressed their concerns about the situation. The imposed tariffs on European goods would raise their market prices, damaging their business operations. Companies throughout France and businesses from additional EU countries depend significantly on American market sales for their revenue. The financial well-being of European companies will suffer significant consequences because their products will become unaffordable for American consumers. The situation would force production facilities to close down while jobs disappear, along with financial problems affecting multiple households. The French president warned that these trade restrictions would deteriorate the enduring business relationship between Europe and America. The U.S. and Europe formed a powerful alliance that dates back decades while maintaining collaboration in business operations, security interests, and diplomatic relations. Both sides enjoy shared economic connections, which have derived mutual benefits from their strong working relationship. Introducing U.S. tariffs can establish an irreparable division between nations, which could delay cooperation extensively. Due to the proposed trade tariffs, European workers in the agricultural, car production, and wine industries face job termination threats. These tariffs would also threaten U.S. imports from small businesses exporting goods, putting them at a high risk of collapse. Macron demands that Europe maintain a firm stance in this situation. According to him, Europe's crisis will deteriorate if it does not fight back, leading to lasting harm to European industries. President Emmanuel Macron has clarified that Europe will not bow to U.S. trade pressures. He argues that these tariffs threaten the foundation of fair trade and long-standing economic alliances, and if the EU does not respond now, it will suffer long-term damage to its industries. Macron's strategy is twofold. 1. Retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. France and other EU nations plan to impose tariffs on key American exports, including whiskey, jeans, motorcycles, and agricultural products. The goal is to make these U.S. goods less competitive in European markets, pressure American industries, and force Washington to reconsider its approach. This mirrors the tit-for-tat tariff battle seen in previous trade disputes. 2. A shift toward economic independence. Macron isn't just reacting, he's restructuring Europe's trade priorities. He believes the EU has been too dependent on the U.S. and must diversify its trade partnerships. This means strengthening ties with China, India, and other emerging economies, reducing reliance on American markets and securing better trade deals elsewhere. Macron's bold approach has drawn mixed reactions. Some European leaders support his strong, unified resistance, while others fear that an all-out trade war with the U.S. could hurt European businesses and jobs. Meanwhile, the U.S. has warned that retaliation could escalate tensions, further straining diplomatic relations. However, Macron remains firm in his stance. To him, this is not just about trade. It's about Europe's sovereignty and the global economy. He insists that if Europe does not stand its ground now, it risks being economically dominated by more considerable powers like the U.S. and China in the long run. With the world watching closely, the question remains, will Europe's retaliation force the U.S. to reconsider? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a significant trade shift that could redefine global power? France's deepening financial relationship with China was one of the most unexpected developments. France regards China as one of the world's most significant economic powers and considers it a vital trade alliance. A global trade balance modification may occur when EU nations and France redirect their trading priorities toward China. Europe collaborates extensively with China and the United States, but the U.S. will lose vital trade support from Europe if the shift accelerates toward China. This proposed alliance brings joy to the Chinese administration. The global trade expansion allows China to develop robust economic ties with European countries. The international market power shift will benefit China as the U.S. trade position might withdraw from specific trade regions. The proposed European shift toward China concerns American officials because it could diminish U.S. power in European affairs while strengthening China globally. France and the EU have contemplated initiating a formal complaint to the WTO regarding their disagreement with American trade measures. The WTO often fines against tariffs, which it judges as trade barriers that unfairly discriminate when it reviews them, leading governments to modify their international trade rules. The effectiveness of such a WTO complaint remains uncertain because Washington has displayed rising opposition to global trade organizations and has demonstrated tolerance toward disregarded WTO decisions. WTO decision-making favoring France and the EU could trigger economic penalties against the U.S. since enforcement seems complicated because of their mutual geopolitical significance. France has renowned worldwide luxury brands, among which Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermès are the most prominent. However, French luxury brands could increase product prices for American consumers, decreasing their market reach to even well-off customers. Therefore, luxury brands would need to adapt their pricing methods, explore other product lines, or shift their business focus towards markets that have fewer trade barriers. By redirecting their focus toward future markets in China, the Middle East, and India, European brands may establish lasting brand connections while reshaping who their consumers will become. Major luxury brands will enhance their presence in Asia by expanding their flagships across markets and putting exclusive items directly into select markets, while using digital platforms to serve potential high-end customers. Despite providing revenue protection against U.S. market declines, the market evolution indicates a possibility that Europeans might buy goods from American customers. The world is closely observing the direction this crisis takes. Here are some possible outcomes. 1. A trade war. A complete trade war may emerge when Europe and the United States continue adding trade restrictions to one another. Higher prices of goods would affect all customers and generate less economic expansion. These financial conditions would make it difficult for countries to export their goods abroad and damage business operations. Higher prices and mass job losses are possible results of this situation. Many nations will experience financial disorder due to these circumstances. 2. Stronger EU-China relations. EU-China economic coordination strengthens globally based alliances, which increases China's power in worldwide trade activities. A change in economic leadership would occur when the United States no longer holds substantial authority to determine international trade agreements. Establishing this commercial bond would result in European countries purchasing additional Chinese products while selling more Chinese products, leading to international business effects. Such close economic ties between European firms and China introduce potential business dangers. New trade agreements. The U.S. and Europe should establish a new commercial agreement. A mutually beneficial agreement would protect economic well-being and rebuild robust commercial ties between Europe and America. Strategies to implement this solution include decreasing tariffs for select goods while safeguarding important manufacturing divisions. Establishing a diplomatic solution would benefit everyone involved in international business operations and sustain the continuous operation of trade between nations. This matter appears distant, but it impacts everyone. Trade wars would drive up the costs of products your nation imports. A shift in existing alliances between nations would lead to changes in the global economy, which would subsequently affect business operations worldwide and generate employment modifications. Persons who consume French cheese, Italian pasta, or German cars may face increased costs because of trade taxes. The ability of your country to export goods to Europe would lead to difficulties for your companies in marketing their products abroad. Knowledge about these issues demonstrates how governmental decisions influence our daily schedules. Your current status as a young student positions you to lead the global economy toward its future shape. Understanding these global shifts helps you see how politics affects everyday life, and, who knows, one day you might be shaping these policies yourself. Do you think this will reshape global trade, or is it just political drama? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe for more deep dives into global events, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.